see if we got this working. All right, wait. Something's wrong. Oh, God. Everything went away. Everything went away. So for whatever reason, none of our pictures from Skype are showing up right now. But we have a tier list, and we're here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to roll with the punches here. And we're just going to make this tier list take up the whole screen, and we're going to talk.
The punches. We can't see anything.
For whatever reason, none of our pictures from Skype are showing up.
So I can hear you repeated.
But we have a tier list, and we're here. So what we're going to do and somebody's microphone is very loud that we can hear the feedback. We're just going to make this tier list take up the whole screen, and we're going to talk.
Whose YouTube isn't muted?
Yeah, somebody needs to mute their channel. This is a professional stream by professionals, people. All right, well, regardless, I am Lyle Dixon. I'm here with Brad Chester, Stephen Crawley, Brian Horton, and Brandon Valley, and we're here to talk about some index reveals.
Hello.
Hello.
I can see shit. So I'm currently having Moses several plays in my house. It's the middle of June, and I just got hit by a baseball hill and power out, and I'm going to die. It's gonna rain from the sky.
Well,
But besides that, everything's okay.
Do we know who has the echo?
I assumed it was Brad because he's on his phone.
Okay.
I don't even know. See no chat.
Well, and Brad's cutting in and out too. So it was great. All right.
Good nights.
I know it happens sometimes.
Well,
the world likes to get in the way.
Yeah, Brad's
All right,
dying.
so we're gonna do a tier list. So let's get going on that.
All right. I will see if I can fix stuff while we talk. So I'm gonna let you guys take it from here while I work on the tech side.
All right. So what do you want to do? Just go in order of.
Yeah. So I think our first army we have up to discuss is demons.
The demons.
So, Crawley, what do you think on the demons?
I think that if there was a tier for above S on absolutely and completely nailing a thematic element and a power level of a faction, demons hit it. I still think that they're S, but I think that it's super awesome what they do. They have it. They got tools to hit on every single aspect of it, and the book's super fluffy, and I love it.
I agree. I think that demons have a lot of tools in their toolbox. The fact that they're not losing anything, I don't think. I think they gained a lot overall, and there's some very interesting mechanics that are, of course, as the, if you've been following the DOG streams, depending on all the point totals of everything, they look like they can do a lot with what they get. So I agree that they are S tier.
What do you think, Brandon?
I think just the ability to hide your entire army behind Be'lakor is really solid.
Yeah, not being shot on turn one is just cowabunga.
Like, I was thinking in the list that I play. We're gonna have to mute Brad. We can't.
Yeah. Brad's internet is not actually allowing him to talk. It doesn't sound like.
We are trying to help Brad out. Brad's struggling right now.
I'm muting him right now. There you go. Love you, Brad. But
sorry, Brad, but you're currently muted. But I think they're by far an S tier army, and I agree with especially with Be'lakor and his cool stuff, and the fact that you don't have to be pigeonholed into like a Disciples of Be'lakor list. That's where they fall.
I mean, just thinking about like builds for Be'lakor, right? Because I was chatting with Kyle, our resident demon expert. If you take Be'lakor and a whole bunch of Slaanesh stuff, like if you get in range to shoot, you're getting charged by the entirety of the demon army. Period.
Also, pulling a Keeper of Secrets off the table.
Surprise!
Seems good. Seems good. All right. So yeah, I agree. I think demons are definitely up there. One of the top lists. Why don't we just go in order for what was released? Because I have it written down, so that way we don't miss anything.
But then Lyle has to go searching for.
Then I have to go looking for stuff. So I can just tell you what's next in the list.
I see your list now. All right, so
Necrons are next.
Yeah, Necrons are next. Yep.
I say A. They have a lot of synergy, a lot of durability, and you're getting a ton of bodies back. It does depend on the points, but I think there's a lot of flexibility with the builds. I think there's a lot of interesting ways you can go about it. I think Brad is trying to work on it. He's outside now.
I'm back. Woohoo!
So we're talking Necrons now, Brad. So
I want to talk demons.
Go ahead.
We'll give you the quick rundown on demons. We put him as an S tier. What's your opinion?
You guys are so right. Move on.
The Father has blessed us. We are good. We can continue.
I think Necrons definitely fall in the B tier, although they may be on the low end of A, depending upon how they're. I legitimately just had a chance to look through them, and not looking at every bit of synergy, it does look like their vehicles are extremely strong, and that there's a build there that can be really annoying to deal with if you don't have enough anti-tank. Because they could almost run a no infantry army and do very well.
Or you could do the complete opposite and run nothing but infantry and just revive 10 models a turn.
Yeah, but they can. But they have to be alive at the end of the turn for that. So I think that the vehicle plus destroyer, like actually shooty PPU destroyers, is going to be. We'll see on points tomorrow. We should continue the drinking game. It's going to depend on the points on that, everyone.
Oh God, poisoning.
I already had 4 Jack and Cokes today, Brad.
Well, you should have had more. I said it a whole lot of times.
I think I'm going to be on the same aspect of Brandon, and it's an A. I think it's the lowest of the A's without knowing points, but I think that you can just have a couple of squads of 22s that are super annoying, a Lich Guard for the center, and then just spam all the vehicles and say, like, oh, cool, I've got 4 Binvolms, and I hit really freaking hard. I think it's a good
I think it's probably top of B, to be honest with you. It'll depend. It really... If they're pointed super low, they'll be A's. If they're pointed appropriately or too high, I think they're a B.
So why don't we put them at the top of B, and then we'll debate at the end on if they're low A.
Okay.
Hey, I got pictures on there. Yay.
Yay!
They're tiny, but they're there.
I'm going to show everybody the complete and total disaster that is my neighborhood right now, because we definitely got destroyed by Moses.
Pick up a piece of hail. Let's see how big it is.
They melt, because it's hot out, which is why I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hit by a tornado.
So we don't keep everybody here for 3 hours. Show us your hail.
I'm literally on the 3rd floor right now. I can't.
Well, then in that case, you know what? Instead of watching the hail, why don't we watch the Death Watch?
Well, Death Watch actually literally lost a little bit of juice because GW decided to tell absolutely no one, but they did fix Dragon Monkey bolts, and they just do auto. They wound on 2s, but they no longer cause. They're not anti anymore. So when you take your 5.
Oh, we lost him again.
And Brad froze again.
There you go.
Don't. We're cool. Brittany tried to call her. I just declined it. So you don't get automatic mortals, because before you were doing 72 mortals to infantry a turn fairly easily, and they went in and they changed that, so they no longer do that. So I think they're very
you don't
good.
get automatic mortals. You still get a crazy amount of basically auto wounding shots, which is
but I'm saying I'm okay with auto wounded shots if I'm playing against Death Watch. You know what I'm not cool with? Going.
Picking up your models and going home. Yeah.
All right. So to Brad's point, they were above demons. Like, they were the highest of S tiers were before, with the ability to jump or generate between 70 to 100 mortal wounds a turn.
But they're not doing
easily.
that. They're normal now.
They can't do that, but they're still high A. But those strategies are amazing.
They're S.
100%. But I'm just saying, they're not just auto winning against people. Before, Death Watch was just bonkers town, because that strat goes to 2 kill teams and you can use it again with your Watchman.
Did Bug Eater immediately ban it? Did that happen?
No. They only do that to
only
Eldar.
Eldar.
Okay, so wait. I hear
Sorry.
people saying that
One
I
example.
hear some people saying they're high A, some people saying they're S.
I think they're high A.
They're either high or S. It just depends on that. They took that interaction away, which is literally their auto win action. So I still think they're super good.
So let me ask this question, kind of to lay the groundwork for our discussion. How many armies do we think can actually be an S tier?
3.
3?
3 to 5.
Okay,
I mean,
let's
there's
say
S++.
3, and then we put these in S, and if something's better, then we bump it out.
Sure.
Yep.
You're gonna pull it out. You're just gonna make somebody mad by making their favorite army.
Just bumping it down.
Also,
It's fine.
Brad, they did put an asterisk at the bottom of the Xenos page saying that they nerfed Hellfire rounds. Okay, they made it publicly aware.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
publicly
If you
aware.
were doing some goddamn Sherlock Holmes fucking investigation shit, you totally knew that happened.
If you scroll past everything you'd actually read and get down to the bottom line, hey, guess what? We fixed something.
So it would be amazing for people to actually make it to the bottom of a Warcom article about indexes for Xenos and see that there's that.
I mean, luckily they only had 7 others that they posted out. So why did you go to the bottom? Fucking idiots.
All right. Well, speaking of fucking idiots, let's talk about Eldar.
Hey, yes.
Another army that's received several shadow nerfs between the Kansas City streams and what was actually released today.
Yeah.
Everyone was worried about 9 D cannons. You can only take 3. Everyone was worried about 9 Warwalkers. You can only take 3.
Great.
But they're still really good.
Really, really good. I think that you basically start your army with 3. Also, you forgot what also happened. Night Spinner gained 47 keywords since they originally showed it. So the Night Spinner is, I think, an auto 3. You take 3 Wallwalkers, 3 D cannons, and 3 Night Spinners to start your Eldar army. I think they're going to be and 3 units of, 3 units of spiders. And that's kind of how you start every single list off. They're going to be really, really good. The only thing is that we'll talk about in a minute with Desolation Marines. There's going to be a lot of indirect. It's going to be an indirect on indirect, a lot of armies. So I think that Eldar is super, super good. But we will see if we get any more nerfs before we go live next week. You know what I mean?
I mean, Night Sprinter is by far the best tank that's been released. Period.
Oh, it's not even close.
100%. It is amazing. That keyword, no advancing, -2, affects everybody. Fantastic. And you're 100% pulling out a bunch of mortals. It'll decimate Desolators.
Yep. You will literally, the Night Spinners themselves are the reason that you're winning that match on indirect because of the multi-damage from the Night Spinners, because you're just going to drop mortal wounds on people.
I agree. I think they're S tier.
Y'all saying A, I don't even know what to say to you. I don't even know who in the world think A. We're saying all this as being just good, and that's before we even acknowledge the fact that Fate dice exist. This is just raw data sheet power.
They're good, but the thing is that we'll talk about it when we get the Knights and stuff, man. Towering Knight might literally pick up all 3 Night Spinners turn 1.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very, very true. That's why I think Knights are going to be S.
So I mean, I'm just saying, that's a big deal. I don't think that they're auto. I don't think that they're auto S. I think that they're super strong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that because of the fact that the game feels so goddamn lethal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into nitty gritty then. Are they better than Deathwatch?
I think so.
Yes.
Are they better than Demons?
No.
Okay, so then right now we'll have them in S tier.
Demons can
Things get
interact with
bumped out,
Eldar
they get
before
bumped out.
interact. Demons can interact with Eldar before Eldar can interact with them because of the fact that they can bring people down. Also, they pretty much just tell you, hey, because Be'lakor exists, they literally go, hey, would you like to get 18 inches in front of my Slanesh army plus Be'lakor? Just letting you know, we're going to punch you.
The hard part for Eldar too is pilot, because Eldar is probably a B tier army in the hands of a Brad or a Brenton or any of the other Eldar specialists. They're going to be S. They are super pilot dependent.
Agreed. And you're gonna have to do some stuff. And against certain armies, it's gonna have a tough time. You know what I mean? And
Demons. I think Demons auto win against Eldar.
Auto
the
win is a
all the
problem.
shenanigans
wins.
No.
all the shenanigans you're pulling are completely null and void with Be'lakor. Period.
Well, the thing is that you have
War
to get
spiders move 24 and shoot you with
Yeah.
freaking devastating moves.
And die immediately.
They don't though, because I'm going to take multiple units of flamers. I'm going to tie them into Bellicor.
So,
And-
Zoobs, this is where I can go. Yes, I remember when a certain person wearing a hat on this cast called Eldar B tier at
I
best.
did.
It was actually
100%.
C tier.
I stand by the things that they revealed were. I stand by that. I take nothing back.
Okay.
I've been wrong. I'll be wrong before. I wasn't wrong about that reveal. Also, if you try to get your warp spiders near my demons, say hello to my flamers, which have the same thing, and I'm just going to overwatch you and
That's
let
fair.
you take your one wound and die.
I did forget that flamers went back to auto hitting again. That is my fault. I agree.
All right,
Remember that
Nobody wants,
Overwatch
like
strat?
twos, right? Because they'll
All right,
get
so
plus
moving
one.
on. So moving on to
All right,
Chaos Knights.
next on we got Chaos Knights.
We could just do Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights both felt super strong. We could probably do them together, to be honest. with you.
No, Imperial Knights are significantly better than
Significantly
Chaos Knights.
Way
I mean,
better.
for damage
Wait.
output, you have more shenanigans with Chaos Knights. I mean, it's again that stupid battle test thing. You know what I mean?
But
Yes.
the Battle Shock has proved that there's enough ways to mitigate Battle Shock that if Battle Shock's your main thing, it's not going to be successful, but probably 50% of the time
Brad.
at best.
Baseline, 6-up feel no pain. I can deep strike a big knight and
I was
kill
gonna
you and
say,
get a 5-up feel no pain.
I think that the Imperial Knights are better, but I do think the Chaos Knights are going to have some real spiky shit versus armies, especially the lower leadership armies,
No,
where they're just getting zeros for 2 or 3 turns. And Imperial Knights have better damage and have a better overall game, but Chaos Knights are going to have those games, and they're not going to be few and far between when they play in certain armies where you're just like, hey, your army is OC 0. Enjoy not taking points.
So
And they can move
I
through
think
terrain.
Chaos Knights fall into that lower A tier at
I
the
would say-
moment because they have some very solid matchups where they're just going to crush them because of the matchup. But I'm not sure they're any higher than that.
I think
I would
Crons are
agree.
significantly better than Chaos Knights.
Do what?
I think Crons are significantly better than Chaos Knights. Their
I don't
their
know about
goal
that
is more
because
reliable.
Chaos Knights, they're both reliable, but Chaos Knights are going to have multiple auto win matches.
Yep.
So you have to put that into.
So you think
in-
Crons are better, Crawley?
I think Crons are better. I think Chaos Knights are a solid B, and I think Imperial Knights are a solid A+. That's
All
my
right, so
personal
put,
opinion.
Put them in B behind Necrons. I
No,
can. I
I'm
can
being
get behind
outvoted
that.
by everybody else. They should go in A. I'm just making
No,
it
I mean,
noted.
I was debating between whether they should be B or the lowest of A's, and I think B would be fine.
We'll figure that out. Literally, I agree on that. They're either the highest B or the lowest A.
I would say
Yeah,
the
I
highest
thought they
B.
were
I would
low
agree
A
with
also. But
All right, so put them up in A's.
But are they better than Necrons?
all right.
Also, is anybody actually paying attention to chat? Because I can't see it, and it really
We
hurts
got
me.
you.
When I can't interact with chat, it hurts my feelings. I
They're
need to
making
have
fun of
somebody,
you.
somebody needs to let me know that I'm a pretty princess.
someone
even if-
someone on Twitch
Two
wanted to
people.
know if we had let Brad find the pictures this time because they look more current, and the answer is no.
I found the pictures.
Also, in the last tier maker we used, I'm pretty sure it was from 8th edition. You're welcome.
So let's answer some questions from chat real quick. Hunter is making sure that we understand the dirty Eldar player saying they are not S. That sounds well. I agree with you, Hunter. I do think it's weird that Brad would ever suggest that they're not S.
I think they should be buffed up. I think that's an underpowered army.
He's trying to avoid data slate like the plague. Got it.
All right. I like this question from chat because it'll let us skip around a little bit. What army do we think is the worst army that revealed? Because it'll allow us to compare other armies to them to talk about how much better they are. It kind of sets
Imperial agents.
Imperial agents.
Imperial agents. Okay. Is there a real army that we
close.
think is the worst
I was
army?
gonna say, besides Imperial Agents, which also had me as 3 of the data sheets, hey, that's just Brad Chester's data sheet.
So,
I would
think-
honestly. Okay, go ahead. What do you think is D, Brian?
No, go ahead, Crawley. Let me get your opinion first because I got mine.
No, because I'm going to hurt your feelings. So what do you
Well,
think is?
Then you're pretty much not going to hurt my feelings. I think Tyranids are the worst they've revealed.
I fully agree.
And I can't. I am a Tyranid fanboy, hardcore. I am not salty or bitter about it. I just don't think they got enough tools. I know their book's a couple months away,
fucking tornado
And-
actually went through.
It makes me sad that they're that low, but that they're the D tier.
I didn't know the. I just want to give a quick update when I said that the apocalypse hit my neighborhood. Also, a apparent tornado went down the only street that lives because I live on the back of a peninsula. A tornado went through
And
there.
then down Summit.
Yeah. So feel free to tell me that it's even shittier than I thought. You know, right about the time.
They closed off the exit to get off from the expressway on Iowa River Road. I had to go up 2 exits because Alexis is all backed up. There's no way in.
Shit went down around here, everybody.
Well, I'm glad you're
again,
safe, Brad. I'm glad you're both
This
safe.
size hail.
I want to go get it.
You'll go get one from outside. They were asking for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah, seriously, I was
Thank you.
pretty sure. I'm
Thank
like,
you. I want to see how big the hail is.
Absolutely.
it's semi-melted now. Dude.
It doesn't
Again,
melt that fast. You're crazy. All right.
Okay. Who else?
So
Is there
why
anybody
are
that
why are
disagrees? With,
Tyranids the worst?
they literally have like while we're giving Chaos Knights that they have matchups that they automatically win. Nids have none of those, but they literally have matchups that they auto lose.
Yep.
Like you
And
can
which-
just sit at the
What matches
table.
do they auto lose?
Anything with Knights.
So Knights, I think they auto lose to Necrons. I think vehicle heavy indirect guard list they auto lose to.
T-Suns, Grey Knights.
T-Suns, Grey Knights,
I think I could beat your
Eldar,
units by literally
Demons.
taking 2 Ghost Arcs and putting them sideways. And just like, no.
Bro, I think you could beat Tyranids with just literally just taking some Desolators with Bolter Drill and a Librarian and just being like, you will lose your entire army by turn 2 or 3 or 4. Like, they obliterate everything and you can't really respond.
Okay.
I don't
might
want
be
to put
super
them in
cheap.
D tier, but they're a D tier army.
All right. Well, that's our floor. So let's get back to the list. Next up, we have regular Chaos Space
Floor.
Marines.
We've known where we shit. Got it.
I think Chaos Space Marines are a C.
I think they're C.
I think they don't
CSM.
have any. They don't have any combos that make any sort of sense. And in order to
They
be
do.
viable, they have to rely
I'm
on
gonna tell
everything
you one
else.
thing that I thought I could bring. Spam, Abaddon, and a billion cultists, accursed cultists, and then take a couple melee things and put your head between your legs and take the objectives and hope for the best. Hey, can
And
you
score
get
a 0 on secondaries, but yes, you will get a very
yes.
good time.
Hey, can you get the thing? This is what we have left. This is a half hour later, by the way.
Oh man, that is big hail.
That is
Give me the.
That's golf ball
Yeah.
size. Yeah.
Connor, I agree with you. When you take player
please.
skill into effect, if there's a gap in or disparity in the player skill, you will have situations like that. But we want to like assume like equal player skill when we're talking about these. And literally, Knights can just body check the Tyranids and say, "Cowabunga, how are you dealing?"
So
with
the way I'm looking at this is if it's Brad versus Brad on the tabletop,
That's the way I like to play. A lot of
Yeah.
Brad.
absolutely lots of Brad stroking his ego. I don't want to say what happened in his pants, but we all know.
I mean, I'm old. I probably just pooped.
Hunter Nichols disagrees with us and says CSM is an A. I just didn't see any combos that made me feel like they were A.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is making them A?
Obliterators are the only thing picking that codex up.
It was just, is he doing 12 obliterators? I mean, we'll see in the points tomorrow, maybe, but like everything else seemed meh.
Yeah, I think they're C. I don't think they might have a combo or two and they might have a good matchup or two, but I think it's C.
I mean, obliterators are like 60 points. Yeah. Like, drop it like it's hot, baby.
So what's our next codex?
Next up, we have Dark Angels.
Oh, that's some good shit right there.
Yeah, I think-
Combinations for days.
I really
think
think
they're
that they're
an
a
A
high
tier.
B or low A.
Man,
I-
dude.
Absolutely.
One,
A-
their command
A-
squad's disgusting. They have good rules. The lion's a motherfucker.
Are
Well,
we
here,
saying?
so let me
are we
start
giving
with
them
just this
Gladius?
question. Just starting with this, are they better than Deathwatch if Deathwatch don't have mortal wounds?
I don't know.
No.
Deathwatch is better.
If
They don't,
we
wait,
give
why don't I
Deathwatch is
just
better
take
than
Gladius?
Dark
Why the fuck am I not just taking Gladius? I don't give a shit about gun resolve.
well, then
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's just then yes, I think they're an A at that point. I thought we were counting their chapter tactic as a thing.
Are we doing a chat? I'm not going to take the chapter tactic. I'm going to take Gladius. I'm going to do Oath of Moment.
So yes, with Oath of the Moment and having the Lion, yes, I think they're A.
A.
Well, you get Oath of Moment if you take the Dark Angels detachment or the Ultramarines detachment.
Yeah, you get Oath anyway. You give up chapter doctrines or
You
tactical
give up
doctrines.
chapter doctrines.
No, then I don't care about that.
Logan, do you
So,
really
If we're
I'm
if we're
gonna
talking
die.
Raven Wing has to be in
No,
Gladius.
give it to me.
That's what he's doing. Calm down.
The issue that I have with their normal one compared to Gladius is that I think that they want the advance in charge and the fallback in charge. Like they're one of the factions that are going to take the best advantage of those with the amount of combat that they have and their data sheets and their Terminators take advantage of that really well. So, yeah.
I still think Deathwatch is better. I think Dark Angels beat Necrons, but I don't think they beat Deathwatch.
That's why I say I think a high B or a low A, but that depends on where we're putting Deathwatch.
All right. Do we think they're worse than
an
Chaos
A.
Knights?
I think they're an A tier army, and I think they're better than Chaos Knights.
Okay.
I'd agree on that. Oath of Moment's just so strong, man.
Bro, I love the Lion, so you are not gonna have twist my arm to convince me.
I think their chance cards are nuts.
So A above Chaos Knights.
All right. Here's the real question: do Imperial agents go above Tyranids or below Tyranids?
Imperial agents don't have anybody below them unless there's some dudes that are cleaning up after other armies.
Bro, I would rather play Imperial agents than I would rather play Nids. So I would say Imperial agents are above Nids.
You can't play an entire army of Imperial agents. So
I would do it if I could, though.
I mean, the only reason I'm putting them below Nids is because you can't play them as a solid army. If you could play them as a full army, I'd so run them just for the fun of it.
Okay, then just delete it. They're not relevant if you can't take them as a full army.
Fair enough.
Well, they're right here.
That's
Next
the
up is
highlight of the
Drukhari.
win.
See,
Drukhari.
Drukhari's going to survive all of the nerfs and be good. But going on launch, I think they're B.
They're B.
Do you think they're worse or
solid
better than Necrons?
they're worse than Necrons.
They're worse than Necrons.
Okay.
They're
I don't
probably
know,
going to be
they're
edging
allowed
out
to
the
take
bottom
care
of
of
B.
vehicles.
All right. Well, up
It's all
next.
dependent on points. If they can afford to like send 1,000 things out, they might actually be good. But Scourges and stuff, being able to have as much anti-armor as they
Triple
could.
dropping Scourges, man, with Heat Lances. Whew.
I think they're a B tier army right now. I don't think you can go much higher than that.
I think they're actually going to weather the test of time, though, because there's going to be a shit ton of nerfs that are going to come out in the first 2 months, and none of them are going to be Dark Eldar. So I think that they're a B army. They're going to stay B or go up. They're not going to go down at all.
Just to clarify, so Colton, you're not blind. We have not put Knights down yet for Imperial Knights because they were separated out. We'll probably redebate that in a minute. And I agree, KR. The Lion is enough for an A because the Lion is just the Lion.
He's a boss.
He is definitely boss mode.
He's a boss, and you have one of the few things in the game that can actually stand up to firepower, which is their command squad, where you add Terminators, because they can literally make you. They have a 4-up against mortals. They've got they can do -1 to hit, -1 damage, and they can res guys. You know what I mean? So like that's a real Death Star that you can actually put on
I'm
the
waiting
table.
for Imperial Knights to pull that unit in one turn.
Hey, Brad. Pajama wants you to know that you need to get your ass on a train to Chicago.
That is 2 weeks from now.
So, as a side note, because I couldn't figure out whether Guilliman, the Lion, or Helbrick would be the best centerpiece model to get painted up, I definitely just ordered a 60 mil base model for my Blood Angels from Forge World so that I could just randomly say it's whatever I wanted because I can't figure anything out yet.
Proud of you.
All right, so next up we have, it looks like Space Marines.
The boys in blue.
Are we doing them all separate?
No, this is just the
this is
Ultramarines on the
Dakota.
front.
This will be all of the compliant Marines.
Yep. So Salamanders, Iron Hands, Iron Fit, Imperial Fists,
People who don't have
Crimson
their own-
Fists, and I feel like I'm missing one. White Scars.
They're weaker than Dark Angels.
They're weaker than Dark Angel.
It's hard though, man, because double Oath of Moment is kind of boss mode.
It really depends on the points. If that dude is more than 250 points, it's not
take
worth
the
it.
shot. But if these guys are cheap and you get cheap Desolation Marines, I'm literally just going to spam Desolation Marines and double Oath of Moment with Bobby G and make people sad.
Yep.
That's very true.
I think they're on par with Dark Angels.
No, I think they're better than Dark Angels because of the fact that you can only take Bolter Drill if you're taking the core book, and I think that Bolter Drill Desolation Marines edge
Are
out.
crazy. It's like extra AP.
But you could take Dark Angels and a Gladius attachment, which means they
Yes.
have access to Bolter Drill.
Oh crap! This new thing blows my mind. Okay.
Yes.
I think wherever they are, I think you
attach.
attach. I don't care whether they're above or below. I just think that you attach them and Dark Angels at the hip.
Yeah, they're equal.
Yeah,
So that means they're both ahead of Chaos Knights.
Yes,
Correct.
completely agree.
All right. So
That's why
next
I don't
up,
think Chaos Knights are an A.
well,
I didn't think
we'll
they were
round it
gonna-
out. We'll move stuff around to make it look like a nice little bell curve when we're done.
GSC.
And next up, we have our boys in the shadows, the GSC.
I wasn't that impressed by them, man. I like you can still. It's gonna. Unfortunately, it's gonna be crazily on points because if acolytes are just dirt cheap, you're gonna take 1 million of them, and you can just basically out cardio your opponent by just going. Here's 20-man unit after 20-man unit. Here's 60 to 80 guys a turn. They just keep recycling through. You never get towards my backfield. But if they're even remotely expensive, this army is trashed here.
I actually think GSC is probably one of the counters to Knights.
No.
I just don't know if they have enough tax, to be honest with you.
Doesn't matter. You're flooding the board. You're putting 200 bodies on the table. They don't have
No,
enough.
and then
stock,
they just
period.
they go into you with Freedom's Hand with sweeps, and they hit you with the freaking I touch you and I evaporate you
True,
6
but like
models immediately.
if you can't go anywhere, it's a big deal, man. You got to figure you're not getting the free movements and stuff right now.
Yep.
If you're nowhere near an objective and you can't consolidate into another unit, you literally get no movement at all. You get to charge
So-
1 inch and
This
stand there.
really has pour one out for Horton's 2 favorite armies because I am going with I think they're C tier at best.
I think we're C tier.
I like the army. I play the army. It's a lot of fun to play, but unless their points are 5-point guys, 6-point guys,
I agree on that. If they're
it's
super
just going to be
cheap,
very difficult to, even with a strong general, get a lot of play out of them. They have some very hard counters, and Desolation Marines exist.
well, the other thing is that if their vehicles are crazy cheap, like Rock Grinders and shit like that, and the Ridge Runners, then they also have some play.
Sure, but then you have 3 Rock Grinders and 3 Ridge Runners and nothing else.
Oh, it's true. They come in ones in the Ridge Runner now. Fuck that.
Well,
That's-
my
they're
other
like the
concern
ones
is
that-
they're just going to be inherently one of the worst possible armies at the beginning of the edition, while there's clearly an indirect problem. Like
Yep,
true.
there's too much
I would
indirect in the
say-
game right now.
I would give them C tier, to be honest with you.
Are they better or worse than Chaos
See.
Space Marines?
Worse.
Better.
Worse.
I don't know.
No, we
because-
have a meta that is going into because they listened to our good friend Brad Chester, who is spamming nothing but AP0 attacks to get all their devastating wounds. So everybody and their mother is going to be having 1 billion attacks. And even in Knights, I still think you're just like, cool, I tank shock you, I Freedom's Hand you with devastating wounds, and oh no, you lost that unit.
I agree that they're bad. I'm just saying that are they? I don't know if Chaos Space Marines can take care of that many models.
I mostly think that the biggest
I don't think
concern.
Knights can.
I think Knights
I don't-
can easy day.
I
will
No, I'm
play
not- I'm
respectfully
saying-
disagree.
I'm not. I'm saying that we're going into just CSM. We're trying to. We already said they're worse than
Yes.
everybody else. We're saying, are they worse than CSM or not?
I
I
think
don't
that
know that.
CSM has
I think
matchups
they're
that it can
equal.
win. Okay, equal works.
Put them next to each other. We don't care.
Okay.
They're
Well,
already
next
next
up,
to
we
each
have our less weird-looking humanoids, the Imperial Guardsmen.
Oh man, that book felt so weird.
That is such a wild book because
Yeah.
it's going to auto lose versus some things, and it is going to make people sad.
Yeah.
Because you are going to take an artillery army that is going to murder shit some armies,
Yep.
and then you're going to play things like demons or just a couple dudes that have shrouding and scouts that you can't shoot them unless you're within 12, and you're going to be like, "You guys sure you don't want to get closer? We're good."
Yeah, like
I mean,
C tier.
I still think Sentinels are going to be really strong.
Agreed. I think the Imperial
I
Guards
think-
is a good army, but it's
and I
gonna,
think
it's
you're
a
going to
very
run.
polarized.
I think you're going to run a couple Russes with the autocannon turrets. In all honesty, and I think they've got enough play to where they're going to be very annoying. And 2 Wyverns and 2 Basilisks holding your backfield is going to be problematic for a lot of armies, including Marines. It's going to be very annoying. I think they're a B tier army. I don't think they're as low as a C.
But
I think they're C plus.
I think they're definitely a B. They're going to ruin some armies. See, I
Yeah.
think you have to put them in B just because certain armies are just going to get flatlined by them.
Yeah, all the armies in C and D tier.
I feel like Yeah, and I feel like you have to put them under
Why they're
Drukhari.
up in the B tier, bitch.
I feel like you got to put them under Drukhari because they have the opposite problem that Drukhari has, that they're about to get caught in a bunch of nerfs that are not necessarily their personal faults.
True. I mean, if Indirect's getting nerfed, they're going to lose a huge amount of power. So I would put. I think you put them at the bottom of B.
I think you put him
Just
after Drukhari right now.
I want to address just a couple of things from the chat real quick. Colton says that if GSC become common, every list is going to have something fast to just pick up tokens. I agree with you. I also think that GSC just suffers from the problem that everybody's bringing shit tons of indirect because indirect's good. And
I'll give you that,
never.
but you're just never going to get to their tokens. If the person's not bad, they're just going to flood the board in front of their tokens.
Yep.
You're just never going to be able to put them
objectives,
on.
and you never have bodies not on those objectives.
Yeah.
Connor, I agree. Dev wounds does need to be fixed. I am very optimistic
Yes.
that they will recognize that problem very quickly.
That's the thing. You were going to have a month or two of this shit, and then we're going to have devastating
But
wounds. It's going to get
don't
nerfed
forget,
hard.
this is the way I'm going to put this. Every mortal wound output shooting in the game got capped at 6 or less in the last edition. Pretty sure they've already learned their lesson from that, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's in the commentary.
Dude, we've
Or
had
first data
5
slate.
nerfs this week in the
Yeah.
data slates before it even go it live. You know what I mean? There's no way that shit's making it.
There's a
through
public service announcement. When you are playing against your opponent, make sure that they tell you when they printed their cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is they might have printed them, dude. 804. Everybody knows that shit wasn't live, wasn't fucking right at 9. What kind of an idiot are you? No one prints their cards until 9 on tournament day.
Steve, I kind of disagree. I think that the indexes are actually pretty well balanced. I think that the drought between C and D and S is too far, but I don't feel like, I think once the first data slate happens and hits some of the most egregious things, I think we're actually in a pretty good spot. Now, codex creep exists, and I can't specify for that, but like I've been looking at these, and other than just not having a lot of flavor, anything below C tier, however, just is a problem.
And Steve, I completely agree with you. I think we're in the open beta test of 10th edition, and you just don't know.
I agree. I so agree on that because you're just like, hey, we got 2 guys in the basement and Ted that we throw ideas of. Doesn't Ted clean the bathroom? Yeah, but he likes 40K.
Starlord, I would love for you to go out and show us how we're wrong with Tyranids. I want them to be good. I have way too many dang points. I'm hoping that Forge World's going to open them up. I've got 2 Harridans, and I am ready to rock it. So here we go.
Horowitz, we haven't gotten to Imperial Knights yet.
All right, so
All right, well, we got
Blood
15
Angels?
more armies, so we got to get moving.
Let's go.
Next up is Blood Angels.
So they're
Can we just
upper end of
take
B.
all these guys and just put them in the same? Space
Yeah.
Wolves, Blood
Blood
Angels.
Angels are the weakest of all the Marines.
I honestly
Yeah.
think that
Whoa,
outside
whoa.
of Black Templar, that Blood Angels and Space Wolves are both going to be C tier.
Blood Angels and Space
No,
Wolves.
I don't think you
are-
could. I don't think you can put them C tier because at your worst case scenario, you're just going to play a worse version of what Dark Angels is, which you just take all your Blood Angel stuff, put it in a Gladius detachment, and then you just have like a
fair.
regular Marine list with like 2 Blood Angels
True.
units that are good at melee.
Yeah, you're gonna basically change the homework name at the top and just redo that list.
Yeah, like you're just going to play a regular Marine list with like 3 units of Sanguinary Guard that get advanced in charge on turn 2.
Sure, I'll
Like that.
give you a B and give them top B then.
Yeah,
But there's
I
no
like. I
way
don't think
they're-
they can be that far away from the rest of the Marines, but I agree they're not nearly as cool as the other ones.
I just think it's the same thing with Wolves. You can just put them together. They have
Yeah,
the same.
Yeah,
I
put them
agree.
in B.
All right, next up, then we
Awesome.
have Black Templars.
A leaning.
I
A.
think Black Templar fall into the A. They have a lot of neat little tricks, and I think the Sword Brethren are going to become a staple in a lot of armies, and they're going to become very interesting.
When we're doing the rankings, are we not talking about what the actual army is going to look like? Because a lot of these are going to have knight allies.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
I think Templars get a billion times better. Same thing with Thousand Sons. When you put 3 knights. Also, here's some people trying to make things not die around me.
Are you leaning on putting like Helverins with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
just,
can see it, but it depends on the points.
but I'm saying, if you bring some Sword Brethren squads and jam them down somebody's throat, and you pop all the mortals that you can do right now with all those attacks with full rerolls, and then you've got some dudes in the back just literally murdering shit because you get the same buffs. You know what I mean? You can get those big buffs, the pluses against monsters and vehicles. So you're gonna have a hard time digging your ass out of your own deployment zone. And even if you do, have you scored any points? The same thing that orcs and world eaters have done to so many people this last edition, which is just put them in the corner. Put baby in the corner, score no points. I think you can do that with Black Templars.
So do we
I
think
still
Black
I
Templars?
think Black Templar fall into the A tier. That's a personal opinion. I think they're slightly worse than regular Marines, but not by much.
I think they're better than regular Marines.
I don't know
You think
because
they're better.
the Primarchs do a
So
lot.
I'm always looking at regular Marines as Ultramarines with Bobby G.
Yeah, that's what my thought process is.
Okay.
I just think that there are some matchups because, like we talked about, if auto winning some matchups does it, I think you just automatically win with the 20 Primera Sword Brethren. Just ram down with a Land Raider.
I'm gonna give you this. Put them in the same. Put them right next to each other, and then we'll literally put up a poll and just have people vote on which one's 1, 2, and 3. Because I think they're really close to each other in power level.
Bro, 140 for Helverians and 405 for Canis. If you are right, sir, I will be a very happy camper.
Oh my God, I'm not. I'm afraid right now.
405 for Canis makes me a very, very happy person.
So I don't think Black Templar are better than Dark Angels.
Again, we're doing a poll at the end. Move on. We need another army.
So Death Guard.
S
Oh,
tier.
like an army that's almost as bad as Tyranids.
Did you just say S tier?
I'm trying to get it
I
right.
said it's almost as bad as Tyranids.
No, Brandon said S tier, and I said leave.
I mean, Death Guard are down in the bait. The Tyranids and Death Guard are currently having a tea party.
See, I'm wondering. I kind of think Death Guard are better than Chaos Space Marines. I think with the stuff that Mortarion can do, because Mortarion has some really weirdly worded things that unless they get a very obvious FAQ, they're gonna really kind of mess with a lot of stuff. Because currently, as written, Mortarion makes everything around him not get battle shocked, so you just can't take objectives from him that way.
They are definitely D tier. I think they're above Tyranids, but not by much.
No, I also don't want to rely on things that we obviously know will get fixed to hold up an army, regardless of how much we're putting Eldar in S tier.
I mean, Brenton even thinks they're last in the D. So I mean, I
really do think that they are just above.
That's a guy that knows the D.
Mortarion knows the D, man. He's intimate with the D.
I think they're just above Tyranids, and I think Mortarion's the only reason they're just above Tyranids. I think everything else they're equal.
I still think that Mortarion can beat up all of the Tyranids by himself.
Mortarion just solos the entire army.
He has the Psyker keyword, right? So Psyker stage could hurt pretty bad.
That is true. He's got the Psyker keyword. He's going to lose.
He's got a 4-up Angel and a 5-up Feel No Pain. You'll get there eventually, and he can -1 damage with a strat.
All right. Sorry, Tyranids and Death Guard, but we're going to move on to real armies now.
Real armies now.
Next up is Votann.
Well, that's a hard army, man. We really need points. Take the shot. It's going to depend on points. The mechanic's strong. It's not like it was before. The bikes are still good. The heavies, what are they? I can't remember the heavies' name. The guys that walk around, their guns still badass. The fortresses are decent. It's so going to depend on points. I mean, if they have a shit ton of dudes.
The Tabletop Titans list that was 2K points that they showed today had all the goodies in it, and it was like literally 2,600 points in current points. I'm like, that's some value. Supposedly Hecatons might be close to where they were pre-nerf.
I
think they're a B tier army as it sits, but not knowing the points on this one. That's where I put them. With points, they could go higher. I don't know.
I'm going to put them literally in the middle of exactly half and half.
Okay.
I'll give you that. I just
don't know.
This is an army that's really, really going to depend on points because if they get a real favorable points, they go way up. I know it's not as good as just skipping the wound phase, but man, it's pretty easy to get 2 tokens on something and +1 to wound, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and you've got a decent amount of heavies out there which are already changing ballistic skill, and you're going to get some consistent damage out.
Yeah, that's
+1 to wound.
That's a good spot, Lyle. I like him right there.
Yeah.
+1 to wound and being able to step out of a vehicle and get reroll wounds can get you out of some situations that you shouldn't have found yourself.
Yeah, Sagittars with that. I mean, they've got some serious play. It's going to depend on points, exactly how they skew.
All right, what about orcs?
A tier.
Are we talking power level or fun level? Because that
Both,
army looks
'cause it's
fun
a
as
Fun level
shit.
is S plus.
They look
It's
super
S
fun.
plus and fun. Yeah. That army looks like crazy. Also, God damn it, there's no way. I'm doing a PSA. GW. Lone operator on freaking beast bosses on Squigosaur and Mazrog. It's the best model in the goddamn codex. Don't mess with it.
The beast boss should definitely be able to at least attach to the little boys.
Attach to anybody. Just don't get shot turn
Just give
one.
it, no,
Hey,
he needs
man.
lone operator. He's effective
Yes,
with
lone operator. 100%.
You don't want to put him on the freaking beast on the beast squigs, because they're too fast and they already have the knob that attaches to them.
That's
He wants lone operator so that he can just be that
That's a
freaking
super
fully.
fun army. I think that's an A army.
Do you think they're better than Chaos Knights?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably, actually. If he gets the lone operator, that beast boss in Squigosaur or Mazrog will literally soccer toss in Chaos Knights.
Aren't mech guns decent indirect, or are they not indirect?
They're
I can't
terrible
remember.
now.
They're not indirect.
They're
Okay.
so
You know what's
bad.
good?
You're
Oh,
just
hold
not
on,
taking
guys.
that guns.
I don't know if you watched my reveal earlier, but you know what's going to be the best? Buy them all. Bubble chuckers for the win.
Get out of here. I'm kicking him. We're kicking him right now. The worst unit in the book was the bubble chucker.
All right. Well, I don't
Wow.
think anyone's going to
Ruined.
suggest they're better than any of our Marines, so we'll probably leave them right there near the bottom of A right now.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
I agree with that.
All right. What about the Bad Sisters, Adeptus Sororitas?
Bro, I think they're I want them to be so much better. They killed like all of their melee. They have some cute tricks.
I'm gonna take them. I agree with them. The B. However, I hate to say it. Too many of them. Get ready for the shots. If these guys get pointed, if these girls get pointed super low, they're going to be a nasty army. The problem is that if they get pointed fairly or a little bit too much, because there's a lot of just decent units here, but it's just gonna go on points.
It lost
it's just-
Sanctum too. Hurts a lot.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is that, man, if you can bring just a shit ton of sisters on that for cheap, like the Sacrosanct, even if the Paragon Warsuits are super cheap, stuck Morven Vol inside there, that's going to be a nasty army.
I think they're B tier. I definitely think they're below the Marines in there.
I also was going to
And
ask,
the
are they better
Necrons?
than our Marines or not?
I would put them bottom of B with their current thing because they are the most point dependent in the B tier out of everything. In the
So
B
over
tier.
here with
They
our
also-
Votann, then this is our
They also
point
just
area.
lose the reservation
I would put
points.
them after AdMech, in all honesty.
We don't have AdMech yet.
Or not
After
AdMech,
Guard.
Astra Military.
You think they're all the way down here at the bottom of B? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up is Thousand Sons.
If you say Thousand Sons with Knights, they're A tier.
Yeah, they're A.
Just Twist of Fate is bonkers town, bro.
With
Does
that-
Twist of Fate work on the night shooting?
Yes, it
Yes,
does.
it just
So
makes
Brad,
the unit
why aren't
value.
they S tier? What makes them not S tier?
I think that they're very high in A. They might be S tier. It's going to be a lot of points on that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Because as I stare at it, I think they're stronger than just. They're definitely stronger than Chaos. They're definitely stronger than Orcs. I think they're problematic to a few of the Marine builds that I see. So if they're in A, I think they're above Dark Angels.
The problem is that if they're anywhere closely pointed to where they're at now, they have to take more characters to turn on the things that they want to do currently, and they were already suffering from being too elite for what they wanted to do. That's why I want
agree
them
on
at
that.
the bottom.
And I want Knights with them to be given maximum effectiveness. So if they're pointed super cheap,
Are
they're
they
S tier
better
for
or
sure.
worse than? Are they better than worse than generic Space Marines with Bobby G?
Worse.
I think generic Space Marines pick them up.
Okay.
I
So are
honestly
they
think
better
that
or
they're.
worse than Orcs?
I think they're on par with Orcs.
They're par fun level, they're way below. Power level, they're probably equal. I don't care which side you put them on, to be honest.
So are
Alright,
we
so
are we
let's put 'em-
saying they're higher or lower than Black Templars then?
So
Lower.
they are. They're next to in between Orcs and Templar.
Okay.
I think they're in between Orcs and Chaos Knights because they're way more fun to play. Orcs are more fun to play.
True story.
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
Everybody
I'm
loves
gonna,
a good wall.
I'm gonna move our Imperial Agents off there since they're concerned they're not a real army. Then I'm also just gonna skip over Titanicus because I think that doesn't count unless we want to
Hey, if
argue
you
the
can
merits
take-
of one
Instead of
single
rank playing
Warhound Titan.
one Warlord Titan.
Yeah.
No. You can take one Warhound.
You can take
currently.
one
If you can
Warhound
take
for
two
2,000 points
Warhounds-
currently.
Yeah, if you could take 2 Warhounds like you can in Horus Heresy, cowabunga it is, bro.
Terrible.
They're
Bad.
definitely a D tier army just because we don't know points.
I'm pretty
You
sure.
know
my
what? They at
neighborhood is
least
being
get to be on the
invaded by
list as
zombies.
opposed to Imperial agents because you can actually field a Titanicus army. So
You can,
Sure.
so they get to be bottom.
They
Okay,
get to be, here's the thing though: if they're an army, Tyranids can't kill them.
Yeah, but you can outscore them because they can't take any objectives.
They can hold their one objective a turn.
Hey, they'll
they're
get a
gonna
higher. Hey, they're gonna have a high objective control on that one Warhound Titan.
And they will take that one objective.
Here's the thing, though. Why
Congratulations.
do they
You
go
have
for
that one
primary?
objective.
Why would
Tyranids
you
win.
bother going for primary if you're bringing Warhounds? Wouldn't you just gambit for the fun
You
of it?
just gambit for the one that you stand in the center and you roll a 4 up to see that if you get out.
and you would get that gambit, and you would still lose by 38.
All right.
Good
A
job,
little more
Barry.
serious army. Next up, we have World Eaters.
Oh,
B
those are
plus.
gonna be-
B plus.
It's another army that I think's just only going to get better as other shit gets nerfed. So I think B plus or better, and they're never going down. They're just going to keep getting better because none of their shit's getting nerfed.
Do you
So
think they're
I
better
think
than
that-
our melee Marines?
Yes.
yes,
By a lot.
I think
Yeah.
they're above Blood Angels.
Exalted 8-bound getting the ability to go up to 6-man squads and effectively having core because nothing has core now. You know what I mean? Is a big deal because they can scout, they can hit, they hit super fucking hard.
Yep.
I mean, this is a good army.
I think the issue with them is they still don't have guns. So,
I think they're going to be the Necrons of the next edition where they're going to accidentally buff too hard at one point and just explode.
I mean, everybody else is going to get nerfed in the first 2 months, and they're just going to be keeping their heads down, not getting shot. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Alright,
Next
so
up,
then
we
we-
have Crawley's babies, the Imperial Knights.
I think they're S.
I think they're S as well. They have just too many
Freedom
tools.
hand!
They literally just go to some tables and just say, I win. You
Yeah.
can't do anything. The one dude literally just goes deuces, disappears off the table, or starts in deep strike, comes down and says, hey, look, your warlord's attached to that unit. I kill everything, get a 5-up, feel no pain for the rest of the game. How are you dealing with this now?
Also, I'm just saying, if you're playing and you don't against Knights, and when you bring that guy in, you don't immediately start yelling "Stranger Danger," you're doing it wrong.
They are the lowest of the S tiers because they do have a problem that they will probably accidentally just die to some matchups, or some people will just be like, I am the fluffy guy who turns my tanks at 45 degree and I have 30 Vanquisher cannons in my list. But they are S.
I mean, there's also still the fact that like every Marine list is going to be running like 15 Grav Devastators.
True.
Cool.
you
Yes,
still
you
have Feel
get,
No Pain. Feel No Pain
But
costs those
you
numbers
get
off.
you get
Sure.
a turn to do that because if you're playing Marines, you're gonna YOLO swag at them so fast with your Knights and go, "I'm willing to fisticuffs you, Queensbury Rose, Queensbury Rose."
yes. Congratulations. You hit me with 15 Grav Devastators. You might kill one big knight, and then suddenly all those Grav Devastators are now dead, and now you're praying that your Desolators kill me.
They have a good thing. They're one of the few armies that actually can melee and shoot equally. In against anything too. They have volume and they have basically other tank killing. Your hard targets. That is really loud. And
We
right
have-
outside my place. There's a
We
lot
have
of dead
one
people here.
moral nemesis, and that is the 40mm objective marker in the middle of the objective.
And walls, because you can't walk over walls.
I'm literally going to play Tau and play 2 piranhas and ruin your day by putting
Sir?
them on the east side of that.
It depends on which terrain we're using, because I can walk over 4-inch walls. Thank you.
That is true.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet at
And
ATC
that-
you can step over
and
most
that's
everything.
why I'm putting my new thing that I'm bringing everywhere is the wall extender.
On GW terrain, man, you can walk over every freaking wall that
Oh,
exists.
God.
That's why
But
they're 5
they
inches tall.
identify as 5-inch walls, goddammit. So screw you.
All right. Well, let's get to something that's probably a slightly more controversial. Let's talk about Tau.
Depends on the points.
Oh,
Depends on
it's,
the
this is their C tier depends on the points.
No, you're doing
Currently,
3 ghost
if
skills,
they
3
use
fire
the
strike
current
markers,
point
long strike, and a hammerhead.
What are they doing
And-
tonight?
I feel like you stopped listening to long strike and the hammerhead and stuff.
Cool. You do 24 damage to one knight that I get to do 2 4-up invulns against. And I get a 6-up
I
feel no
also
pain.
have that. You can't even shoot the ghost kill. He just gives you the finger.
I don't need to shoot the ghost kill. He
I
can
know
sit
there's
in the
gonna be
back
so
of your
much
thing for the
trash.
whole
I can't
entire
wait to
game.
put Pathfinders in front of you and just go, "Hey guys, why are we standing out here? Don't worry about it."
If only I had a rule called super heavy walker that I could just walk past those Pathfinders and go into the gooey bits.
Luckily, I have a rule called I own a tape measure, and I'll just make sure you can't completely clear my mouth.
I'll tank shock your model.
And they'll die. That's what they're going to do anyways.
Isn't the Pathfinder's job just to stand out there and go, "Hey, there's that big thing over there"?
Yes, they're going to be like, "There was a nuke right there, guys. You should shoot it." You're like, "I can't. I'm not picking the commander up on the comms. Are we supposed to come back now?" Like, you're good. But
I think they're C tier. I'm gonna put them above Gene
C tier plus. Yeah, 100% they are because they
But
can pick.
definitely, I don't know if they're at this moment. I don't know if they're above Chaos Space Marines, but I'm gonna put them. I put them in C.
Their mechanic, their Kalyo mechanic, I feel just puts them against GSC and Chaos Space Marines because Kalyon is good as shit. Double exploding sixes is strong. You know what I mean?
Okay, quick questions from the chat, real quick. Connor, sorry, not Connor. Joe wants to know what is our thoughts on the Death Dreads with their attacks with all the arms?
I like that a lot.
I think they're pretty nifty.
You get 3 extra attacks on that. Those are super strong attacks. They got a 2-up save. That the Death Dreads seem legit. If they're even remotely, well priced, that's a free auto 3 for me.
Brenton, I have to say, I apologize. I would think that they were B tier if you were still playing them, but obviously you agree that they're C because you abandoned ship the first chance that you got.
I think they're B tier, and here's why. They don't care about guarded direct. They don't care about Sisters of Battle because the Sisters of Battles don't have the range, and they don't have the speed to deal with it. Like,
I'll put them at the bottom of B. I'm down with that.
I think they're mid B. I think they're on par with Votann.
Hey, there's a cool trick that you can do. You can take the giant F-off Forge World model with the giant turrets up to the top, and it's so tall you can literally see everything in the entire table, so you can just kill people.
Well, you can do that. There's some cool tricks you can do in there anyway. Like you can do like double Storm Surge, have one Storm Surge look out for the other Storm Surge, and then pop the strat on it. Then you have 2 Storm Surges sitting on 2s, seeing everything on the table being towering.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you that. That puts them up to B tier by itself. You go double Storm Surge, triple Ghost Skill, triple Firesight Marksman, and some Pathfinders to get murdered, and that seems like a legit army.
No, Connor, you need to understand. Yes, IK are vulnerable to devastating wounds, but the thing is, the only way that anything with devastating wounds was hurting them in the first place was already at the point where they were getting them on a 6 to wound. So they're doing about the equivalent anyway. And they get a 6-up feel no pain versus that, and then a 5-up once they kill your character, which they will spend
or
as much
take
as
the
they can
objective,
to do.
which they're going to. But I like the fact that when you answer chat and don't say what chat said, it just makes, because I can't see chat.
Sorry,
it just seems like you're a crazy person talking to your alter ego.
Connor said,
thinks that Imperial Knights get just hosed by devastating wounds.
Possibly, to be honest with you. It depends. We keep seeing nerfs to devastating wounds even before we went live. If devastating wounds go down, Knights go up.
If devastating wounds just come out of the gate capped at 6 per ability, what does that do to Knights?
They go way up.
They go way up.
Yeah.
Because right now the main thing that I'm planning on doing to Knights is devastating wounding them with full rerolls and things that are anti-vehicle. That's my main plan. If you tell me that,
all right. Well, this is the one that's probably most likely to displace Imperial Knights from our S tier. What about Grey Knights?
I said that there were 3 to 5 in S tier. We can keep Imperial Knights in S tier.
Not. We said 3. We can't change now.
Take Imperial Knights out. Grey Knights.
Grey Knights just feels so S, dude. That the sheer amount of the ability to move 3 units a turn, plus the army having a 2-up save army wide, and having that strat that just says go screw yourself. If you're not within 12, you can't shoot me. This is a I'm good at the game kind of army. Like you can just there's so many shenanigans that you can mess with people on, and it's
I actually think Grey Knights are better than Eldar.
I think Grey Knights are actually better than Demons. Especially with the way the secondaries play, that we know, like they literally.
Well, we don't know on that. So I mean,
We
if they have a
do.
good what they're going to use for
Goonhammer
everything?
released an article talking about a lot of this stuff. We know that behind enemy lines is a dedicated secondary you can take. We know teleport homers is a that's all you need. You're good.
Stop into your local store. They have a copy of Leviathan for preview. All of the missions are there.
Yeah, I'm just
Ooh.
using the Goonhammer article for spoilers.
I think the Grey Knights are probably if they're not the top, they're arguably the top. They have so many bullshit. The entire army can literally deep strike. The regular, dude, just the strike squads have a 2-up save. They can deep strike. They can scout. Oh, and they have a strat that just pick them up above and beyond the 3.
They
that
can
they already
deep
use.
strike a Land Raider full of goodies into your backfield on turn 1, because it says regardless of mission rules, and say, what are you going to do about this? And then, oops, all these freaking Terminators come out and charge you next turn.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is everybody can block out for 1 to 3 turns. It's, man, you get into late game, especially if you played a slower game where you're just surgically striking flanks. It's just so hard to continue to box out everywhere and score your objectives. You know what I mean? You just don't have the models to do that anymore, unless you're GSC, but you probably already lost. But
Grey Knights by far, I think, are the best of the reveals because there's so many different things they can do where they can go, oh, I'm just going to try and murder you, and I'm just going to do this gambit and on turn 5 win the game.
I'm just saying there's no pressure on Sean, but if he plays them at ATC and he loses any games, not even mad, I'm just disappointed.
He's not going to play them at ATC. He's got to leave them undefeated.
Is he playing them this weekend?
I don't know.
If he does, I'm going to table that list.
Oh, Pub Sub Challenge. Here we go.
All right, we're down to our last 2. We got AdMech next.
AdMech's underrated. I don't know if they're going to displace much people, but like if breachers are even remotely economy priced, that's a shit ton of damage, man. They had anti-yes in their keywords. They are putting out a dumb amount of volume of attacks. Infiltrators and rust takers are pretty good. The rest of the army seems pretty mad, but like those guys, you can spam them. Just seem good.
I thought they were a B tier army to a C tier army. Looked like they had a lot of strong tools, and I agree with Brad on the breachers being intriguing based upon points.
Yeah.
And I still think the robots looked pretty good. It's a personal opinion.
Robots with the buff where you're getting +2 on each of the, so they have 10 shots apiece. I mean,
do you think they're better than Drukhari?
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with
you.
I think they're better than
also.
Sisters.
Points, man.
I think they're better than Sisters. I don't know if they're better than Guard currently.
Well, they give their vehicles a 4-pin, which is a big deal. I'm going to answer a question from chat real quick because it's Steven talking to Joe. You sure about that? -1 damage changes the characteristic of the weapon, and devastating wound seems to do mortal wounds equivalent to the damage characteristic. You are correct, but in this edition, GW clarified that the allocation step handles on step 3. You -1 damage at the allocation step, which means devastating wounds end at step 2. So you get your full devastating wounds regardless of -1 damage.
Which makes me sad because there's a couple of people that make damage go down to 1, and I wanted that to work on mortals.
I wanted that to work on mortals too.
That was my argument the other day in chat. They're like, it doesn't work that way. I go, yeah, but I want it to work that way. They're like, I really can't argue with that.
All right. Well, we just talked about
believe-
Sisters for a second. Now we need to talk about the good Sisters, the Sisters of Silence. I think there's some other stuff in that
Custodes?
codex
OP.
too, but mostly
OP.
Sisters of Silence.
I think this is.
Custodes are underrated also.
A+.
The fact that they get the fact that Custodes just get a built-in 4-up against mortals is going to be huge on an addition, especially in the beginning when we're just going to be dumping mortal wounds on everybody. Cutting that shit in half is a big deal. You know what I mean? And their sisters are now really, really good. They used to just be that cheap thing that you took because you didn't have anything else cheap. They now have good output and some good rules.
So how do they deal with Knights?
They have this really cool thing. It's called an Allurus Terminator that gets full rerolls to wound, and they spend 1 CP that they spend for free because the only thing they can attach is the captain, and then they get +1 to wound, so they're wounding on 4s with full rerolls. And if you have a full unit of Allurus Terminators, which Brad's going to tell me is bad because he doesn't like spending that many points on 1 unit, but that's 30
I kind of
attacks.
do like Allurus Terminators though. Now that you can do. They basically take the place of those bigger warden squads and stuff like that. Also, it's going to be super hard to get rid of the shield guard, the regular guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those dudes are nuts. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I don't-
Allure's Terminators late game just teleport into your backfield and pretend to be Grey Knights for a turn and say, "Hey, you want to play?"
I'm also not sure how any like pure melee army is supposed to kill them.
Yeah, they just free CP fight first, and they're like, "Cool,
Yeah.
you charge me. We're gonna alternate. We're gonna interrupt everything."
So I think they're an A tier army.
I think
I
they're
really
good
do.
here.
I actually think they're better than Chaos Knights Orcs. I don't know if they're better than T-Suns, but I think they're in that because T-Suns can turn off their save.
They
Granted,
can't,
still
though.
have
They
the
can't turn
invoke.
off their invulns. They'll still be taking 4-ups and 3-ups depending who they are.
So I think they might be better than T-Suns now that I spend 2 seconds thinking about it a little bit better. Are they better than Vanilla Marines?
I think in the beginning, yes, because I think that in an environment that spams devastating wounds, having 2-ups and 4-ups versus mortals is going to just shut down a lot of those builds. They deal with Desolation Marines really effectively.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that.
That's why
Yeah,
I
so
think
I
that they're
hard
like
to
this.
put them just below Imperial Knights.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're right there, nestled up next to the Lion. The Lion came back and he would give them a fist bump as he walked out.
So you think they're
I just don't see
better
how you don't shoot
than?
them off the table.
So you think they're between
I think
You're 100%
Dark Angels and
gonna shoot 'em off the
Deathwatch?
table.
I think they're in between Imperial Knights and Black Templar.
Brandon, I will happily play that game with you and demonstrate
Let's
how
do
you're
it.
not going to shoot them.
Black,
off
we
the
have
Let's
Black
do it. I
Templars
will
back
shoot
here
off the
next to
table
Thousand
immediately.
Suns.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're just after Imperial Knights.
Okay,
I
so that would be
think
ahead
Space
of
Marines
all the
have-
Marine armies.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Space Marines have the versatility to kill them. I do not think that the builds that we'll see in the beginning that are dealing with everything, I think they're in this nice spot where they're at kind of like now, where they hunt the hunters pretty aggressively of the things that kill those things.
It's going to be like they were when they first came out. They were very, very strong.
I don't think they're
Right.
as good. I don't think they're as good as Deathwatch because I think Deathwatch just had the ability
No.
to put enough wounds on them. So maybe Deathwatch is the only thing above them in that. I think Imperial Knights are above them, and maybe Deathwatch are above them. But I think all the
Deathwatch
regular
just has so
Marines-
much anti-everything that they're going to
I
have
agree. I think
issues.
they'll be underneath Deathwatch and right next to the Lion.
I think Dark Angels are better.
You're wrong. You're a
You're
Dark
wrong.
Angels fanboy.
You're wrong. And you're a Custodes fanboy.
Hey, I love that discussion we had there. That was excellent. Good play. You're
You love
wrong.
Custodes so much that you made your son play them. and beat
Also,
them.
I need to remind you that we're rating it this high, and we haven't even seen half of their freaking things because of the
True,
freaking Forge
the
World Index.
entire Forge World line hasn't been shown
Right.
yet.
Imagine the Telemon coming out and being tough 12 and saying, "Hey dudes, what's up?" And everybody's like, "Holy fuck!"
Watch
Hold
them
on,
be
let's
like,
stop.
All right, so just so you guys know, while you guys were arguing, because I'm a sucker for a bell curve, I moved stuff around to get there an even amount of stuff on both the top half and the bottom half. I didn't change the
You just
order.
ruined the entire tier list.
I didn't change the order.
You ruined the entire tier list.
Now the tier list is better because it's an actual list, 0 to 100.
We could tell that Lyle's a teacher, and no one else cares.
Great, everything.
You're
on
like,
it.
I don't care what the data says. I just like it to look pretty when I
Yeah.
put a print on a sheet.
All right,
And
so
now-
let's go through it tier by
What I'm
tier
saying is
then,
if
and you
all
guys
your
tell me
kids
if I
get
messed
A's,
anything
that's
up.
not good. That's terrible.
No. If he was doing it on the true teaching bell curve, everybody would be at least a C because we don't fail students.
All I'm
You need-
saying
you
is,
need to take one of
I
my
give a
What
classes.
you're
C.
telling me is Tyranids are no child left behind.
Yes.
So basically, the only real army we have down here on D is Tyranids. We have the other two fake armies after that with them. So
No.
Fake
Come on,
armies.
the
Death
Death Guard
Guard.
are down there with them, please.
They're- I mean,
Just give me
but
some
then
of
it's
it.
not pretty. So Death Guard are bottom of C.
No. Okay. So
I
this
love
is a Lyle
everything
show
about
now.
this.
All right, Lyle.
Lyle's
Here,
like,
let's
"Oh,
just
yeah,
go. We'll go through
power."
everything in order. All right, we'll start at the top. So at the top in order of S. Do we have Grey Knights, then Demons, then Eldar?
Fully agree.
Fully agree with that.
Okay, so those are our top three. Now into our next tier. Our order currently: Imperial Knights, Death Watch, Custodes, Dark Angels, Codex Compliant Marines, Templars, and Thousand Suns. In that
I
order.
100% disagree on Custodes, but
I
They
100%
don't have guns.
disagree
They-
on Dark
they
Angels.
will
Don't
get
because
shot off the
somehow
table.
get out of A.
all of their guns are in their Forge World stuff, which we know is coming.
but they're not. It's not out yet. We're doing
No.
with what we got right now.
So with what
Okay,
we've got
so
right
without
now,
Forge
I
World,
think-
where do you think they should be?
Where
without
they're at.
Forge World, I think they're fine right where they're at.
Exactly. They're going to
With
be
Forge
S tier when Forge World.
You are high. You are There's no way. You are high.
I'll just go win something with them real quick so you'll shut up.
I will table this list immediately with Space Marines.
I just want to give my opinion before I get eaten by zombies because I think that's the next step.
All right, so we have a big descent on Custodes. Maybe there's no solving that at the moment. Let's move to the next.
Well, hold on. Let's say that they're all right. So let's put them above. Let's put Dark Angels above them, and leave regular Marines below them. That way, they're in between. They're a
I
nice
think they're in between Ultramarines and Black Templar.
No, I don't agree with that one.
Are
You're
we
telling me you're
really
two-
trying to
you're
nitpick
two
this
units?
shit?
Can we move on? We're
Come
talking Space Marines.
All right, so our next tier down after Thousand Suns, we have Orcs, Chaos Knights, World Eaters, Blood Angels, and Space Wolves together, Necrons, and then we get into the points matter portion of the list. We have Votann and Tau.
Yeah, I actually like that tier a lot.
That's perfectly perfect.
All right. Then this is where it spilled over to the next tier. The Drukhari are also in that points matter codex. They would technically be on B, but I just, I had to make it look pretty. But they're probably there in the same tier as Votann and Tau based on what we said earlier. Then after Drukhari comes Admech, Guard, Sisters, Chaos Space Marines, GSC, and Death Guard.
You just put GSC and Death Guard on the same row as those other armies.
Please put Death Guard down one.
Oh my God, you guys don't appreciate symmetry at all.
Lyle,
I
not
do.
the
I
symmetry.
love symmetry.
It's the fact that
And
the
it's just
armies,
they have to be lower. Otherwise, please move Tyranids up to C tier
No.
at the bottom.
No.
So, no.
I need
So
you to
they're
understand
both
something,
C tier.
Lyle. The people are going to look at this tier list and assume that we're saying, because a C tier army is something that skill expressively you could get to X and 1 in an event. I do not think that that's fair to have half the armies that we have in C tier actually be in C tier.
Also, I think Imperial Guard could literally pound town Death Guard into another dimension of go to away.
That's
Well,
why
I
we
can,
only
I can
have
put
chaos.
Drukhari up here on this B tier. I can only put Admech up here because after that it goes off the screen and our viewers can't see it. So
That's fine.
Guard and Sisters have to be in C tier at that
Well,
point.
actually, no, that's not true because we had Orcs and Chaos Knights.
Yeah, you could put Orcs and Chaos
Oh my
Knights
God, I
back where
hate
they were.
everything.
We're not giving Lyle the controls anymore because he needs to make things look pretty.
I am no
nice.
longer going to change my schedule to help you guys. Fuck this.
Like, unless I can make a pretty Christmas tree, I'm not doing anything.
Well, then
I
next time,
actually
let us take a screenshot.
This is why
before
I
you
hate
work.
tier lists though, because what we're just saying, like, yeah, literally all the armies except for 4 are good.
We're
And,
saying
like,
that
what's the point of a
majority
tier
the
list if
game-
we're just saying everything's good?
the
But
majority of
here's
the
thing
game
with
is
the tier list.
balanced.
It is right
Yeah.
now. It is there wasn't that many misses. I mean,
Yeah.
we want to talk shit, but like GW didn't screw up that. They had a couple ones that are looking out from hoping that they got an invitation to play, but for the most part, these armies look very, very playable.
Yeah.
The fact that we just need to say is the S tiers need to get data slated and the D tiers need to get data slated. The C's need some point adjustments, and we're back where we're at in
I
9th
don't-
edition.
I don't
Madness.
There's
even
no
know if
amount of data
the-
slate that's
the
going to help
thing-
Imperial Legions.
I mean,
But I'm
here's
saying-
for GSC, and they're dirt cheap. They
If we
climb up
put
this list.
Yeah, if we put a cap on devastating wounds and we make it so that every single person that has indirect just goes, hey, when you fire indirect, it's -1 and you get cover. And they're like, we ignore cover and the -1. Like 90% of anybody that shoots indirect ignores all of that. When they fix that and stop devastating wounds, the S tier will just slowly go down by itself, except for Grey Knights. And Grey Knights has
so-
the best mobility.
Quintaro KR, by far, new tier list tomorrow after points come out, without a doubt. Because points are a deciding factor for things so many shows. That is truthful. We can redo this tomorrow when we see points.
I think we should wait till next Thursday.
I can't wait for Crisis Suits to just come out at like 15 points.
Oh God!
And they're like, Tau is S++ tier, baby. Or Death Guard gets like 20-point Death Shroud Terminators.
And again, if points come out and there's just massive points disparities, and you go, oh well, this thing got 100 cheap bodies at 4 or 5 points a model, well, that changes things. It makes other builds more viable. This is something you have to look at, totally. I mean, to be honest with you, the data, the quote unquote data, like the designer commentary is supposed to drop on the 24th. The 24th may completely change this list up fully. And there's Brad just motion sickening all of us.
Yep. I had to stand up for a minute. My broken body said I needed to stretch my back.
All right. So when do we review this list? So tomorrow it's not going to happen because Brad's coaching like for 10 hours tomorrow.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Just tier list Thursday from this point on out.
Tier list Thursday from this point out. I agree, actually. We're gonna rock this party 8 days a week.
I mean, the fun part about this is we look at this list today, right? And we're pretty sure those 3 armies are definitely in that top tier category. That probably won't change. It's what one in the A's get the points where it's like, oh, that's really, really good, and it brings them up to the S tier. And then what that's lower gets brought up higher in their tier or jumps up a tier is going to be an interesting conversation for a week from now.
Actually, can we discuss what we talked about a couple weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago, when
Birds
we
and the Bees?
did our original tier list?
So not the birds and the bees.
I mean, I don't
If
have
you want
that
to,
out.
that's probably inappropriate. Here, let me pull it up, and then let's see how close we were based on our initial impressions.
I want to do that with the final one with points. I don't think we want to do a check-in.
Yeah,
with that
I agree
time.
on that too.
You want to wait?
I agree. We wait until we get points.
I don't want to do this every Thursday because our Thursday show is supposed to be a little less on the competitive side of things.
True.
I'm just saying one more time. Just
One more time, I without a doubt. But I think we should wait for the. I honestly think it's going to be not. It's going to be a Monday night show, and I think it's going to be the Monday of the 26th where we've had points. We've had a weekend to get some games in and try things out, and we can make a little bit more of a determination.
That's fine.
So speaking of that weekend, Mr. Lyle, Mr. Brad are coming down to my place, and we're going to be streaming like 12
all
games.
weekend long.
All weekend long. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Trying to
but
get Crawley to
10th
come
edition.
over. He said he was too cool.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
I will throw down on my stream, and I will show you that Custodes are bad.
What do I get if I win and I show you how bad you're wrong?
You're going to be drunk under the table, so it's going to be great.
I can't drink if I'm driving to your house. I have to drive home.
Or do you?
We'll do first game in the morning. Got this.
You'll be sobered up by then. It'll
Everybody
be good.
needs to understand on stream that the only way Brandon can ever beat me in a game is if he gets me drunk, and he knows this. So that's why his first instinct is to go for the alcohol.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's a battle
Tactics.
strategy.
Those
You
are
know it's a
tactics
battle
right there,
strategy.
my friend. Tactics.
Hey, you know what,
All right,
guys?
guys, well,
If I move this Blood Angel over here with the Space Wolf, all 4 of
Oh
the
my
armies I own are right
God.
next to each other.
I'm
These
glad
are
I took a
all
screenshot
4 of my
before you
armies
butchered
right
it.
here.
Again.
Lyle is still trying to make it look pretty. I love everything that's
I'm not
on
trying to
here.
make it look pretty. I'm just saying right now, these are my 4 armies that I own, and now they're all in the same tier together.
So, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to battle zombies, look at the devastation everywhere because apparently a tornado hit 8 feet from my house. And then Moses came and put down plagues. And I'm probably going to order food and be sad that my refrigerator's not on. And I bought a bunch of food today.
Hopefully you can order food
Sigh.
and not all those places are closed and they can't serve food.
I swear to God, you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. And on